Live, live, live. I say that just to keep the screen on the screen, the poster on the screen. Responsible travel and wildlife conservation. It is April 6th, Monday, 8:30 a.m. Las Vegas, 5:30 p.m. Knysna. Actually, we're starting 3 minutes late, but that's not a big deal. Welcome to our friends and our viewers from Outbounding and other social sites such as Facebook and Twitter who are watching this Hangout. A quick round of thanks to our participants, Enrique, Cabanilla in South America somewhere. We'll find out if he's in Argentina, Ecuador, or other mysterious places. Greg Vogt from Knysna, the southern part of the Western Cape of South Africa. Martin, a neighbor there in Knysna, South Africa. And myself, I'm here in the storage room here in Las Vegas, Nevada. So welcome, everybody. Show and tell. Who wants to be the first in show and tell?
You can start, Ron.
No, you go, Martin.
Well, nothing to show, but I am getting ready to go to the World Travel Market Africa next week and to their Responsible Travel Conference for one reason only, because they're not live streaming, so I have to increase the size of my carbon footprint to get my sorry butt down there to go and listen to what people are saying.
Oh, bummer, bummer, bummer. Greg, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, before the show started, Martin and myself were having a quick chat about the effectiveness of DMOs, destination marketing organizations in South Africa, and the general grasp of tourism structures in South Africa in understanding responsible tourism. And I've just attended a festival, a slow festival this weekend, and I've got some photographs here to share. Let's see. The orange is Sitta Slow. It's an international movement, and it began in Torino, in Italy, when the likes of McDonald's and the fast food movements came into, or what would you say, corporates came into the places which lived off their genuine, homemade, self-made, handcrafted goods, and began to impact on the local economy, where basic skills and skills that have been passed on through generations were lost. So, it's very, very interesting for me to see people celebrating something over the Easter weekend, but not necessarily really knowing what they're celebrating. But interesting concepts within the festival. I'm sure a lot of people understand, the organizers understand it, but a lot of the people attending the show and attending the festival didn't really grasp what was going on. Just as Martin and I share that our DMOs need to catch on to sustainable or responsible tourism.
That's very interesting in very unexpected ways. This past weekend here in Henderson, Nevada, there was a Healthy Henderson Fair, hashtag Healthy Henderson Fair. And it was a really strange conglomeration of some bike shops, some funeral parlors, and some other health food outlets.
Did you say funeral parlors?
Yes. The cemeteries were advertising. And it was this wonderful, surreal experience. But the question is, well, why were there like 500 people or 1,000 tops over the whole day? That should have had, a much bigger spread. And, as we question motivations of people, or as we question what they get out of these events, I think we have a right to be demanding and to say, wait a second, we could do a little bit better. But I want to get back to City Slow and all of that, because at least in concept it sounds interesting. And how do we make it real? But Enrique, show and tell time.
How you doing? Well, I'm in Argentina now, moving in a couple days to Ecuador. I went to Chile last couple weeks for a Congress on community-based tourism. It was a real nice thing, and I see that there's a thing that is going on in Latin America on focusing more on supporting this community-based tourism idea. Now, on the other hand, I find that there is some tasks that are incredible needed by the people that are doing this, and one of them is to build a strong support basis for people who are not used to tourism and they are way out of cities or in very rural territories, and because there's always this legal thing coming along, and one of the topics that were very discussed is about normatives on how to develop community-based tourism. And here, people from the communities were telling that laws actually did not recognize two factors. One of them is the difference on the geographical resources. It's not the same thing to be in a highland over 3,000, 4,000 meters or be in the sea level. And the other one is about culture, when many cultural aspects may affect the design or something in the provision of the tourism service. So it was a good thing. I think the best thing is that it is on the debate, and now we are very sure that community-based tourism needs a strong policies to grow and to develop.
Ron, I'd like to just comment to something that Enrique said, if I may.
Please.
Enrique, you know, I think that there's, in community-based tourism, you have two catalysts or two drivers. The one is organic, in other words, something emanates from within the community and it grows to a sustainable space. When it grows to a certain level, that's where it grows into policies. But for me, I battle with the concept of a policy first and then the concept. Let's take something that let's just take high altitude. Immediately I think of trails, and I think of your proximity to the United States, and I think of you know, you just Google or do any desktop research on trail riding, bicycle trail riding. Now, that, if you're going to start an initiative that is a first world initiative, you start with a policy or a philosophy that the policy says we recognize that we have the opportunity to grow or to build trails. Now that is responsible tourism, because you are competing for a market that is big, and that market, you know, in the States it's huge. 40 million people in 2001 cycled on a single track in the United States. Now that requires a policy where you say, right, we're going to take some indigenous people and we're going to train them in how to build trails, and we're going to accredit them so that they know how to build trails. Then you take people and you teach them how to market to that market. And then, because sustainable and responsible trail building leads to market growth. And this is a concept, Ron, if this is the only thing that I leave today's responsible travel chat, is that your you don't go and market first and say this place has got the most beautiful opportunity to ride trail riding, freeform trail riding. You first build the trail, and once you build the trail, it speaks to the market. And it's a concept that we all have to get our minds around.
Okay. Thank you very much. Wait a second. Wait a second. It is herding cats, but I do get to herd. And first off, a big shout out to our viewers and the people who are asking questions. Thank you, Alistair, Mackenzie. We'll get to your questions soon. And if anyone does have a question, please invite them to post it online, either before or during the Hangouts, and we will get to it. All right, let's continue. Martin.
Greg, I agree with everything you say. I would go one step further, and that is, first, you have to be sure that the community is interested in trails.
Mm-hmm.
Enrique is nodding his head very...
Yeah, you know, Martin, this is where I speak of the organic growth, and then bringing, you know, if you go, let's just take the Knysna Sports School. They, over the years, have been taking local people, native people, and introducing them to mountain biking, and they've developed some amazing cyclists. And these guys, some of them, the top guys, have been put on a bicycle mechanics course, and they are now able to participate in mainstream mountain biking events. We're now looking at taking those guys and training them as guides. But let's go to the chicken and the egg. Which comes first? Now, in the rural areas, the biggest, your cyclists want to go and ride out in these places that are remote and rural and discover. So, you know, how do you know if a community doesn't know of the opportunity? And in today's world, if they don't know about it, how can they know if they want it? So here is where your policy speaks. Your policy should be saying, and I'm pretty confident that a lot of those community, the young folk, are growing up and developing in knowing Western ways, knowing what mountain biking is and knowing what university is and stuff like that, and getting introduced to it, so they can bring those opportunities back to the rural folk and bring concepts back. But they must follow responsible and sustainable concepts.
Beautiful. Thank you, Greg. Enrique, do you have a response to that? Because I know I do.
Well, I think that there's some things that are missing sometimes in what we think about developing with communities. One of the things that I was talking about in Chile is that we think about quality, a good product to get or to access markets that demand product. For instance, this thing about bicycles and in the States. And what we found in Latin America and in many other places is that the geography of the communities doesn't have basis elements of quality. For instance, drinkable water, energy the whole time, or something like that. So when I talk about policies, it's not only as in something that I agree to develop products that are demand-driven, that is a good idea, but I also mentioned the thing that we need policies to establish what it has to be done in a territory before getting into tourism. And there is the second issue that I think we are avoiding, asking the communities if they want to go into tourism with a reasonable knowledge, so they can have let's say a reasonable decision by what they know. What they know about tourism is that it's the best thing in the market, worldwide is a boom, is generating many income for a lot of parts. That's what the big idea. But the small idea is that in Latin America, 7 of every 10 community-based products and tourism are not doing well. So there's something that has to be approached in a much more bigger dimension.
I have a point I'd like to make. There's an Italian aid worker by the name of Ernesto Ceroli. You can look him up on TED. He has the most fantastic talk on TED Talks. He, in his speech, in his talk, says that something like $600 billion of aid have gone into Africa, and it's all failed. And I think we've discussed it before.
Martin, 1 second, and we seem to be we're being pirated, hacked from Estonia. It looks like, and hold on to that thought so we don't have to speak over the. My goodness. Okay, as moderator, how do I mute you, Ivar, until we figure this out? And come on, Estonia, we need better Wi-Fi. Wait a second. I'm going to hijack the conversation from Martin and go back to just 2 points. And one is Enrique made a very important point that 71% of community tourism projects in Latin America, quote unquote, aren't doing well. We've seen so many failures in the ecotourism realm over the past 20 years, where they said, what, 90% fail. But we are loath to discuss why these things fail. And so we tend to give presentations in the abstract and by policy or regulation when we're not looking at the, well, literally the elephant in the room. How do we help the folks who are doing community tourism? Or how do we bring the information, as Greg was saying, to people who may or may not know about these opportunities? And the answer, you know, that I saw from Oaxaca, Mexico, was if you do a policy-based program that's based on politics, and those change every 6 years, there's just no continuity. You know, Google this, the Tourist U program, that's Y-U', the tourist cabañas in the valley. There was no upkeep, there was no continuing to take care of these things. Add to that the question, well, what is community-based tourism? Is a village of weavers community-based tourism, or do they have to actually offer tours? And then what does a city, what does a state, you know, what does a state play in either regulating it, promoting it, or both? And what we're seeing in the past 10 years is this incredible technological change from a village that had communal phones. In other words, you didn't have a phone in your house, you had a phone in two parts of the city, to everyone under 20 has a cell phone. You know, these are different worlds right now. And the question I have as a journalist, as a facilitator, as a catalyst in all of this is maintaining contact and figuring out how we improve the tourism benefits to locals and visitors. To me, that's responsible travel. But I want to come back to the point from Greg. How do we teach, how do we work with these people, how do we collaborate with these people? And Enrique, you know, in the operations and the conferences you've attended, are we hearing more about specifics or abstracts? And how can we get the best list of specifics and really make 2015 a year for these projects and programs?
Well, in Chile, the scenario wasn't that good because there are many government departments working on the same thing with different approaches. One from the agricultural approach, one from the cultural approach. The tourism office was more in the outside than in the inside. So this was just beginning. But I think that I agree. We need a plan, and we need a basic plan that doesn't forget that tourism is a service that needs resources. Well, this basic point, in many of the tourist community projects that I visit, some of the things that they tell me is that tourists doesn't like sometimes that they don't have hot water, for instance. That happens in the jungle, in the lowlands, everything. See? So there is ecotourism on the other side, knows about many technology, easy technology to provide with a hot shower, like what they have in Capawi, a bag, a black bag that they put him in the sun, and then next day you have a reasonable amount of not boiling water, but good water. So that's the thing. That's the thing that I need to need to be done with communities, is to go with what they really need, and supported by a program that goes strong beyond our government. Because in Ecuador, so far, the first community that we had, it was 21 years ago, and 21 years later, it hasn't reached a sustainable scenario, and that's why I'm doubting that sustainable is the key thing.
Well,
If
wait,
we don't,
wait a second. Wait a second. Does anyone else have questions with the word sustainability? Martin?
I have a major problem with the word sustainability. I think it's greenwashing, which is...
Wait, 1 second. Greg, say something so we can see your picture.
No, I want to follow on from Martin, because I think he's going to say a few key words that I can bring into my answer to Enrique.
I've been involved in a conversation on Facebook over the last couple of days about the role that destination marketing organizations should be playing in sustainable tourism. I'm of the very, very firm belief that they should be playing no role in sustainable tourism. Sustainable tourism is impossible. Sustainable tourism cannot happen. Sustainable tourism is pure greenwashing, and the reason for this is that until we have a sustainable travel model, a model which uses renewable resources only, and which can take us into the future, we cannot have a sustainable tourism model.
Martin, can I come in there?
Can I just make one last point here? The DMO's role should be in facilitating responsible travel, which is not responsible travel works within the boundaries of what we have. So there should be no greenwashing. Sustainable doesn't work, doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, sustainable is the word that's chosen and used over and over by the United Nations. So we just ignore that?
Yes.
Can I come in?
Sorry, but the United Nations I mean, where's the United Nations in the bigger scheme of things? We're very thankful that they're there, but they don't have all the answers. In fact, I'm beginning to find that government has less and less answers, and the bigger they become, the less and less they have. The answers, as I was trying to say earlier, lie in the people themselves, and that's Mr. Surali's whole the lesson that we can in tourism can take from development aid. He has developed a thing called enterprise facilitation. He goes into a community with absolutely he has absolutely no infrastructure. His organization have no infrastructure when they go into the community. They go into the coffee shops. They meet people in the markets. They say, what do you want? And how can we help you achieve it? Oh, you want to set up a sewing business? Let us work out how we can find you somebody who can help you with your marketing. Let's find somebody who can help you with your bookkeeping. Let's find somebody who can service your sewing machine for you. They don't do any of the work. They put people in contact with one another.
1 second. Do you know the word? One second. Do you know the word, Enrique? Acompañamiento, or the accompaniment?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because in Spanish and in Mexican Spanish, in particular, there's a word for that, Martin. It's acompañamiento, and and I used it a lot with the work that I did in Oaxaca. In terms of, saying, I'm not leading this. You know, people would say at the organic market, well, this is yours. No, I'm certainly not in charge of this, but I'm one of its biggest fans. And you ask and you ask and you ask over time, and again, needs change.
What was?
But how do you develop that that should be the go-to model?
Yep.
And no, it's invariably foreign consultants come in, recommend things you aren't doing now. Foreign consultants leave, and then the project goes to hell in a handbasket.
That's the problem. Foreign consultants have no right to recommend what you should do. Foreign consultants' job should be to say, what do you want to do? How can we help you achieve it? Greg was trying to make a point.
So, Martin, I'd like to go back to number one. Ron, you said 6 years. Every 6 years, politics changes. In our world, every 5 years, politics changes. So can we please bank the fact that politics should stay out of tourism, other than say yes to when you're applying for funding? That's my first point. The second point, Martin, you've already made your point to aid not reaching its space. And now I'd like to go back to the concept of sustainable and then the concept of responsible. Enrico, if I could walk through Chile with a local guide and I don't need running water. I don't need water brought to a place in a tap. I need to experience exactly what that guy, how he lives his life. And all you need is one competent person, and that's why I've put this little thing here, and I said you need an idea, you need
competence,
delivery, and the market. Now, you can't expect a person in a rural area to know about the market. That's where your destination, or let's call this person a sustainable tourism practitioner or a responsible tourism practitioner. So let's have a look at the ingredients. Where you've got a community, and the first thing you do with a community, or the first thing you do not do with a community, is create expectations. That community is operating, and all you need is one individual in that community to have an idea, and if he doesn't have the idea, you can share or jointly create an idea and introduce it to him. Now, there's two types of markets, or there's two types of concepts. The organic growth, which I started with, that is something that the community individual says, I want to bring people here and let them walk through my town and drink water from the stream and eat roots, and let me teach them the local things. That is your organic growth, and your destination marketing organization must help them get a market. They must teach them how to package this, price it, and sell it. The top down is to say, I have a market. I want to bring this market to your community, and I want to walk on your trails, or I want to ride your horses or your ponies, or I want to ride a bicycle. And that's where you take people and you train them at the University of Tourism. And that's why Martin and I very often talk about our dream, which is to open up a school of tourism called basically what they do not teach you at the School of Tourism. Hey, Martin?
Yeah, because the School of Tourism does it all wrong. All wrong. I think it's time that tourism should stop being a special needs kid and enter the real world. And this kind of lesson, the Ripples from the Zambezi is the book from Benesta Ciroli, learning from other sectors and other industries, and I hate calling tourism an industry, thank you, Anna Pollock, because it is not an industry, it's a web. It's a movement, it's a thing, but it's not, we need to get away from the industrial model of tourism.
Okay.
And we need to go to people like Mr. Ciroli and ask him, and so not necessarily ask him, but take his lessons to heart.
Thank you, Martin. Hey, welcoming our new imageless but nonetheless vocal participant. Are you there, Jim Barborak? And James is mute. Oh, Martin. Anything else?
I want to take something, and from what Martin says is very interesting. When I present my advances on my theory, I completely agree that sustainable is not applied to community-based tourism. And I have two strong points to say that. First of all, that sustainable was brought from just the green thing, the nature view of the world, and that if sustainable lacks of something, lacks on measuring the culture and the good living of the people. That's why I'm saying, and I'm proposing something that, for instance, in Ecuador, according to our constitution that says that we have a new model of developing our land, which is called the good living, summa causai. I said that we have to start measuring the impacts on tourism on how people improve their life, but not in this objective that I see in every project in tourism that says that every project in community is to improving the quality of life of the people. I want to see things that we can see. For instance, people have a place where they can have healthcare, or people can have a place where their children can go to school, and they don't have to walk 3 hours or 4 hours for that. Or people can get potable water. And here, I also disagree with some other things, is that the states and their government are putting and emphasizing that community-based tourism has to take care of the lack of presence of the governments in their lands. This is what I'm trying to say. Some government says, okay, we are enforcing this community-based tourism because it's taking care of local education. But local education is something that the government should have to take care of. So if tourism is supporting local education, I think that one of the basic things that a government can do is accompany all the way the tourist project in its goal. And I say it last year in Bolivia, for every dollar that a community-based tourism program put to develop their comfort, their good living, their quality of life, a government should put at least 5 times the amount that the community does by their own.
Enrique, I want to just speak so everyone can see the Sumac Kasai buzzword bingo card. Do I have this spelled correctly? And can you repeat for everybody what this is?
Oh, well, that's a concept of that is the well living. Is a concept that is brought by the indigenous, the Andean philosophy, and it means that the good relation between man and woman, high and low, from different parts. And something that is different from sustainable is that Summa Causai recognize that there are going to be losses on the way. Sustainable approach always says that it's going to be better, and it's not like that. We have losses in the communities. Things changes. What they do one cycle over another is trying to get better again, to feel this harmony. But on the cycle, there are going to be changes, heavy changes.
Enrique, thank you so very much, and thank everybody for playing Buzzword Bingo. We are hopefully introducing our good friend Jim Barborak. Are you there, Jim?
Can you hear me, Ron?
We can hear you. Thank you for joining.
It's a pleasure, as always.
Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you've been doing and what you're doing now?
Sure. My name is Jim Barborak. I'm at the Center for Protected Area Management at Colorado State University in USA. I've worked most of the past 37 years in Latin America, worked in every country of Latin America, and although tourism is not the only thing I work on, I've worked a lot on development of public use in protected areas, and also long-distance and short-distance trail systems throughout Latin America. So very interested in the conversation this morning,
Paseo Pantera.
and hope I can get through it.
What happened to Paseo Pantera?
It's still alive and well under a different name. It's interesting. The project was picked up by an NGO that didn't even exist when we started Paseo Pantera in 1990, called Pantera, which is a global big cat conservation organization. And they and still Wildlife Conservation Society continue to support a number of efforts to promote conservation in Mesoamerica. But more importantly, the Paseo Pantera morphed into the Mesoamerican Biological Corridor Initiative, which is an official government initiative of Mexico and the 7 Central American nations. It's been ongoing since Paseo Pantera, which was a project led by U.S. NGOs, ended in 1995 officially. So over the last 20 years, much work has been done on connectivity conservation in southern Mexico and Central America, and continues forward. And some countries, I'd say Costa Rica in particular, have really internalized the concept of conservation corridors and connectivity conservation, including tourism as a key part of that.
Thanks for bringing us up to speed so quickly.
Ron, for me, it's really interesting to listen to the gentleman coming in and to identify what common denominators there are. You know, what are we experiencing in our country that is similar to what the other person is experiencing out there? So, the question I have is, in all the conferences you've been to, we've touched onto the concept of sustainability and what it is. And yeah, I like to come down to real basics and say, okay, in Costa Rica or in one of these real outback places, I want to ride my mountain bike with a local person as my guide. Now, James has just said, Enrique said, it will bring change. The minute that I get on my bike and I come out there and I ride, it's going to bring change. If I ride on a trail that is just a goat path or an animal path, that trail will cause erosion unless you do it correctly. Now let's go to some other buzzwords that James mentioned. It is James, right?
Yes, I go by Jim.
Okay. So now you were talking about protected areas. The concept of a protected area, the minute that you bring in a whole lot of tourists, the protected area is compromised or could be compromised. Now in South Africa, what happens is your colleagues from the States come out here and they come on safari, and what they want is Animal Planet and National Geographic has brainwashed them to want to see a lion, but not just a lion. They want to see the lion catching an animal, because that's what you see if you put on Animal Planet. That's what they're being conditioned to see. So what you start doing, as we have spoken about in the previous concepts, and Martin so aptly described, you get really, really sensitive areas that are not known for their big five. They're known for little animals and little butterflies and little things. But the tourist is not interested. The tourist is absolutely not interested in seeing that. They just want to see a big animal eating another big animal. Or they want to ride it, or they want to touch it, or they want to feed one of the babies. Now, Martin will tell you that what starts happening in the Cape Floral Kingdom is the game reserves start saying, the privately protected areas, they start saying, bring me, I need an elephant, or I need a lion, or I need something that is actually not in the benefit of, or to the benefit of the ecosystem. So, Enrique, this is where you were talking about the loss. There's going to be a loss to the culture, or there's going to be a loss to the ecosystem for the financial gain. But I want to come back to a conversation that Martin and I have at length. why are we not putting all our efforts in getting a group or an audience that subscribes or accredits themselves as travelers to go to certain places? In other words, we are so busy accrediting places. So when Martin refers to greenwashing, it's all the places that are successful, they subscribe to these fancy words, but the poor guy in the community has not even heard of the word tourism. And as Enrique described, and I've been into many communities in South Africa, you just got there's just such a long way to go in the education process. So I believe the answer lies in us accrediting the actual traveler, and that traveler having a passport to responsible places.
Thank you, silence.
Deathly silence.
I think you said it was either you or that bright green cold drink that you just had a sip of. One of them silenced them.
This is my daughter brought me this. I don't know if it's dangerous or not. It's water with a whole lot of plants in it.
Oh my word! It looks fantastic.
By the way, does everyone have their notebook? I'm just filling mine up.
I would like to know a little bit more about what Jim was saying. Jim, is that Pantera organization no longer existed?
No, there was a project from 1990 to 1995 spearheaded by the Wildlife Conservation Society in Central America entitled Paseo Pantera, or Path of the Panther. A panther means different things to different people, but actually in Central America there are both pumas and there are jaguars, which sometimes have a melanistic phase and are totally black. So the idea was basically to promote connectivity conservation using these two largest of the American cats as symbols. But the idea wasn't to focus just on big cat conservation, but rather on the need for connectivity in a rapidly fragmenting world. And one of the things we said in the very beginning was that buffer zone management and that promotion of sustainable tourism were also important if we were going to be able to save core conservation areas. So it was basically a project using these large cats to promote connectivity conservation and also sustainable tourism in Central America back in an era when those were concepts that were not even on the agenda. And so the project lasted 5 years, but since then, the core concept of the need to create conservation across the landscape and to link protected areas to better stave off impacts of climate change and also fragmentation has been broadly accepted internationally, I would say globally. So in that sense, it was a pioneering project.
Well, we should probably salute you, because we have projects in South Africa like the Transfrontier National Parks where we have conservation areas working together with people across our borders, with countries across our borders and their conservation areas. It becomes a contiguous area. But I see the problem for the first time in what you've just explained to me. Not the problem with Paseo Pantera, but the problem for responsible travel as a whole. And the problem that Greg was trying to get across, I think he got it across quite well. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to sound condescending, but we've discussed on this forum before the problem of marketing the Big Five in South Africa, when in fact there's 50,000 different types of mammals and plants and birds and people and square kilometer arrays, the world's biggest telescope. We've got all of that. So where the problem is, and you touched on it in what you said, Jim, we use these symbols, not symbols, iconic species, and the uninformed or the ill-informed hears only that. What we need to start doing is thinking how we message. How do we get our messages out in such a way that we don't say, come to South Africa to see elephants, but that we say, come to South Africa, we have elephants, amongst other things. And there's a subtle difference, but there's an enormous difference in the butterfly effect, if I can put it that way. Do I make sense?
Yeah, I just like to comment that I think that we have a great advantage in most of Latin America, and I'd like my colleagues from Latin America to comment on this, but that even though we might use things like a jaguar or a puma as a symbol, they're almost impossible to see. So outside of Patagonia in southern Argentina, for example, in the Pantanal wetlands of Brazil, you can spend a lifetime and not see one of these big cats. And so the success of ecotourism depends greatly on having good interpreters and subtle things in nature. Birds, invertebrates, landscape. And so there's much less of a focus on going to see just one organism. Now, there's a lot of serious birding goes on, but and some people try to add birds that are lifeless, but there's not the focus in Latin American tourism on one large critter that you're going to see, because the large critters, things like tapirs, things like jaguars and pumas, you can go a lifetime working and never see one. So I think that works to our advantage in promoting a more ecosystem-based ecotourism and not a simplistic focus on a few large critters.
Speaking of iconic species, would like to introduce you to our friend in the Southwest, the desert bighorn sheep, and come and say hi. Martin?
I want to hear him speak for himself. It's an interesting point that Jim makes. And we are very different in South Africa. We've marketed lions for so many years as part of the Big Five. Now we've found ourselves in a position where everybody wants to pet a cub lion. And once a cub lion has been habituated to man, can't be rehabilitated. So what happens to it when it becomes a little bit boisterous? It goes into the canned hunting industry.
But certainly that'll be discussed at the Responsible Tourism Conference in Cape Town, or in Dublin, Durban.
Oh my word, they're going to be discussing that because I'll be there.
Beautiful.
So, but the point is that it started with South Africa selling the Big Five.
But Martin, the only way to change that, the only way, in my opinion, to change that, and I'm looking at my screen over here and I'm seeing these amazing people, and I'm thinking to myself that if we took some key projects as a case study and we, as a group, we formulated a concept and we reached out to an audience and we said, we want you as an audience, here are the key principles or the values, here are the core values of this experience, whether it be in South America or one in each of the continents. And we start reaching out and reversing what I believe is the cancer in the system. We're all very good at citing the problems, but I'm not seeing the solutions, and I'm a solutions guy. So I believe what we should be doing is where you have a community that wants to enter into tourism, you just need to bring one tourist there once a week, and they will very quickly learn about tourism because it will be organic growth. The problem I have with responsible tourism is the market is demanding what is being delivered. So people aren't strong enough to say, Jim, earlier on you were talking about the little critters and the conversion. This weekend I was interacting with the most amazing lady by the name of Judy Dixon, who takes you along the coastal area, interprets the most beautiful story of the ocean dynamic, the coast, the intertidal zone. Beautiful. But there's no demand there because we're competing against the Animal Planets and the National Geographics. And you look at National Geographic and there's a big alligator and a guy fighting the alligator, and how does a little insect compete with it? So I think we should be coming out more strongly, and we should be creating a forum that sets the reverse of what we need. I mean, I'm making the claim. I don't know if you guys agree with me. Do you agree that we should be talking to the market first?
I do. I certainly do.
Well, I want to thank both. We're going to be wrapping up soon, and I want to thank Greg and Martin for kicking off these discussions about, again, the shortest tagline I can have for the Monday Hangout is responsible travel and wildlife conservation hangout. We have to figure out a way of making that a little bit easier on the tongue. The other thing is, like with Jim and with Enrique, when you'd like, I'll be happy to host a Spanish language first hangout, and we can talk to our friends in Latin America. I want to talk, I want to offer everyone here the opportunity to edit the Planeta Wiki and to say, all right, let's take a look and show me, forget the accreditation stuff. You show me what are your favorite 10 places in South Africa, or the Western Cape, or Ecuador, or Mesoamerica. And let's just use the Wiki now as a tool to let people know about it. I think we are at a very interesting time in, early April 2015. At the end of this month, there's going to be the Ecotourism Conference in Poland and in Ecuador. And the question is, well, what will tell us more about it, and how do we participate as remote participants? Also, on the further down the line agenda for me, I've been chatting with local flavor Deborah McLaren in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota, and we're going to be having some series of travel hangouts focusing on the U.S. So that'll be happening in May. But we'll continue these hangouts, and I'd like to give you a chance to say any final words and comments, and we'll wrap up. Please stay on the line if you want to stay in the green room, and we'll do any private gossip there, and maybe even figure out a date for the follow-up chat. Thank you. Martin?
There was a question from Alistair.
We're choosing not to ask that.
Pardon?
We're choosing not to ask that.
Oh, I thought he had a question that he wanted us to ask.
We'll ask that with the when we have more of a parks focused topic.
Okay. All right. I want
the power I wield here. The power.
I want to thank Enrique and Jim for joining us tonight, and to advise the two of you that I'm involved in the organization of an online and real world conference that's going to happen on the 29th of March. Engage RT, which is put together by one of the local destination marketing organizations here. We are looking for speakers, and speakers who will speak via the net. So if you're interested, Ron will share my contact details with you. Engage RT on the 29th of May, Mossel Bay Tourism. Ron, once again, thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for putting these things together.
Thank you. Greg?
Oh, thanks. It was wonderful meeting Jim and Enrique. It was such a pleasure. My key take out of this meeting was the similarities we're having within community tourism and the dynamics. We seem, when I was discussing certain things, I saw Jim nodding, and it was interesting to be able to relate to what Enrico is saying. And I leave with the following question: do we really, or have we, defined a basis for the language that is needed in responsible tourism or sustainable tourism going forward? And maybe that should be our focus going ahead in the weeks ahead. We should be looking at the chapters to develop that that language that we need to understand and define, because it's through language and and understanding concepts and comprehension of concepts that enables the conversion of success at ground level. Bearing in mind, Enrico said that sometimes that it brings change and loss, and we have to understand all of that. Thank you again. It's been wonderful.
It has been great. Enrique, we're just doing this in the order that you came in the room.
Well, it was great to meet you all. One of my final thoughts is I'm trying to recover something that I said last year in Bolivia was the secretary of the World Tourist Organization, and that I think that when we talk about tourism and we are saying or spreading the world that everything is okay, I think we are hiding that not many things are okay.
Yep.
So I think that within that context, starting from the World Tourist Organization, we have to start focusing in what Greg says, find answers and get proactive and get into actions that can solve the small things. Otherwise, we are getting into communities and making dream on something that many times doesn't happen.
Expectations.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Jim?
Well, it's been a pleasure participating again, Ron. Thank you for continuing to do this. I would just like to commend you for the idea of doing one of these at some point in Spanish. I know there's a lot of interest in Latin America, and although most of my colleagues involved in tourism in the region speak English, it's always nice to be able to speak in your native language. So that would be wonderful if you could do that. And I get caught up in these controversies over what is sustainable, and this is ecotourism. No, that's not ecotourism. And I think aside from the labeling, that having good guidelines, having good policies is important, and we just have to keep muddling through and trying to reach a state where we're doing things better. And I would like to concur with the statement that most community-based ecotourism projects I know of in Latin America that have been project-based and externally initiated have failed or are not doing too well. And so I think that there's a general consensus that that doesn't work, and I think it's very important to find those case studies and those indicators of success that have shown themselves to work throughout different countries and regions, and try to build on those, because we know that this model of short-term external financing, trying to create lasting change in communities through tourism, is not doing very well in any place I know of.
Thank you much, Jim. All right, I invite you to folks stay online a little bit, and to the viewers, thank you very much. Those who have been watching through an archive video, and that's 99.9% of you, please, your comments are welcome on the YouTube page or the Google event page, and we will let you know when our next Hangout will be. Thank you much, and thank you everybody here.